Hey, Magnus here. Now, this video I wanted to do off the cuff, no edits, just straight shoot and go so I can give you my honest thoughts. And now what am I talking about? The Canon SL3. The Canon SL3 was recently announced by Canon, and it's its successor to the SL2 in the DSLR lineup. Now, DSLRs, who would think that Canon is still pushing out DSLRs when they're pushing mirrorless heavily with the EOS R, the EOS RP, and even their M series lineup such as the Canon M50. But they're still trying to do it and trying to get those entry-level people who are just trying to jump into photography and think DSLRs are the next thing, jump into DSLRs, and then they can kind of figure out more pro glass and cameras from there. So you've got the SL3 in a weird market. Now, when the SL2 was launched, I was excited for that camera because it had dual pixel autofocus, 1080p recording, no 4K, but that's quite all right, at least from the entry standpoint. And it had Canon color science and just a good camera body for vlogging and really tiny. But when the Canon M50 was announced, which is a mirrorless equivalent of the SL2 with additional features such as the ability to have 4K, although it suffers from pretty bad rolling shutter, you still have 4K. And yes, no dual pixel autofocus during 4K, but you at least can see yourself, put yourself on a tripod, record in 4K, get that focus going on before you start recording, and then just go from there. All of that in the M50, where the SL2 didn't really have that, but that's okay. These are two completely different cameras. But then we have the SL3. And then the SL3, it being launched, the first thing that we want to know is, okay, what are the specs? What is going to get me to buy this camera? And the first thing that it demonstrated and show off was the fact that it does 4K, but no dual pixel autofocus, because Canon does not want you to have that unless you pay more. So 4K was an addition to the SL2. But then you had similar, almost exactly the same specs as the M50. Sure, they're adding the fact that you can have eye autofocus, which is a nice feature, but everything else about this camera does not seem attractive. Single recording, single card slot, and same features, except they took out something that the M50 has, which is recording 24p and 1080. Something that Canon already did with the EOS RP. Now they're doing with the SL3, which seems to be a new pattern for Canon. Say, hey, let's take away something that we've given them all this time because they'll pay more for it. And I think that's cheating. And that's just, it's instead of working to their advantage and saying, hey, let's pay more for a Canon camera that does it, you're having people just say, hey, let's pay for a competitor camera that does it. And really, I think that doesn't make any sense. And theoretically, Canon is still number one when it comes to DSLR mirrorless cameras, but that is shifting. A lot of it is shifting towards Sony. But you have Nikon, who's fighting tooth and nail to do what they need to do to compete. Then you have just a pattern that we've all noticed, and I've noticed in particular, is that it almost seems like Canon made a bunch of different sensors that they just want to push out and get released. 5D Mark IV sensor, 6D Mark II sensor, and anything that they could do. The M50 APS-C size sensor, and any other new body that they can push it in, they're going to do that. So the 5D Mark IV sensor, they had a bunch of those, probably didn't sell as many 5Ds as they wanted to. So, hey, let's push it out on the EOS R. Give it the same sensor, just update the processor, and here we go. We can get rid of these sensors before we go into the next generation of sensors, which Canon is rumored to be producing. Then they did the same thing with 6D Mark II, 26 megapixel sensor. Let's throw that in the EOS RP. Okay. EOS M50 sensor, let's throw that in the SL3. Canon is just trying to milk the industry by pushing their sensor as much as they possibly can, updating the features, sometimes adding something, sometimes taking away something, but updating these features as much as possible so that we can pretty much eat it up and they can profit as much as possible. Such as you have the 6D Mark II that had that 26 megapixel sensor. They threw that into the EOS RP, but they gave you 4K, so they added something to it, but then they took away 24p in 1080. And that's just a trade-off. So they play with it a little bit to make you think that it's a different camera, but the sensor in itself is just almost exactly the same. So that's why I still have the 5D Mark IV, and I didn't switch up to the EOS R. Sure, it's a less expensive camera, flip screen, you still got 4K recording, actually not true 4K, UHD recording, because 4K the 5D Mark IV does, not the EOS R. And then it's just like, here you go, trying to milk the system, milk the profitability. And then when the new sensors come out that are probably going to have better low light performance, higher megapixels, and what's rumored, it's going to be backside illuminated and have in-body image stabilization, which will be awesome, but will it be able to handle full frame 4K? Who knows? I would bet that they would or should, because the competition is already, I mean, that was happening with the competition years ago. Now they're just finally catching up. But that's just kind of what I think about it. I don't care about the SL3 other than the fact that it reduces the price for the M50 and the SL2, which to me are still interesting cameras today. But let me know what you guys think, and I just needed to get these thoughts in this video out there, no recording, so I could get it out as quickly as possible and really be honest with you guys who have been commenting on my videos. I want to say hi to everyone who commented on my last video, on my other videos. It's really appreciated. I got some interesting questions regarding the relevancy of the 5D Mark IV and what other cameras you guys are looking at for today. And color science video that I did a couple weeks ago had some interesting responses there. Keep it up, keep posting. I love it. I think that this channel has grown to a point where I feel like we are definitely community. I definitely feel successful with you guys, and if we keep growing, we can grow together, because if I'm going to grow this channel and get 50 or 100,000 subscribers, I want to take all you guys with me and give you guys all the credit and motivation that you guys give me. So thank you. And as always, like, share, and you can make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus, and I'm out. I'm not editing this. I'm just posting it. See you guys later.